The human soldier had no clue. The wounded woman he saved was the alien queen. Even after years of service in the Galactic Exploration Corps, he had never encountered a landscape that shimmered with colors so vibrant and alive. The skies were a swirl of soft lavender and pale green clouds, while the ground was dotted with crystalline plants that glowed faintly under the twin suns. Yet, despite its beauty, Zithera was scarred by conflict. Craters and broken structures marked the valleys, remnants of battles between rival factions of the native Zitherans. Alex walked cautiously across the cracked surface, his boots sinking slightly into the soft, iridescent soil. His mission was simple yet dangerous: patrol the region, protect humanitarian teams, and ensure that civilians caught in the crossfire were safe. He carried no offensive weapons. This was not a combat mission, but his survival training meant he was always alert. Every shadow, every movement could hide a threat. As he approached a jagged ridge, a sound caught his attention. It was faint, almost drowned by the gentle hum of the planet's natural energy. A voice, or rather a cry for help, pierced the quiet. Alex froze. It was unmistakable. Someone was in trouble. He sprinted down the slope, eyes scanning the terrain. The cries grew louder, more desperate. Finally, near a small ravine filled with luminescent flowers, he saw her. She was lying on the ground, her body partially hidden beneath a fallen crystalline branch. Her skin shimmered a soft blue, like the surface of a calm ocean under the moonlight. Slender wings, translucent and delicate, were bent at awkward angles. Her eyes, large and luminous, flickered with pain and fear. "Hey, are you okay?" Alex called, crouching beside her. His voice was calm, steady, trained to reassure civilians. She did not respond. Instead, she gasped softly, as if struggling to breathe. Her language was unknown, a musical series of tones that made Alex's translator scramble. But even without understanding her words, he could sense her fear. Without hesitation, he checked her injuries. Her arm was twisted unnaturally, and there were small cuts along her legs and torso. "I'm going to help you. Don't worry," he said, lifting her gently into his arms. She flinched but did not resist. Alex knew that meant she trusted him, at least a little. The journey back to a safer area was not easy. The valley was unstable. Jagged rocks and deep fissures made every step dangerous. Yet Alex moved carefully, balancing her weight and using his knowledge of terrain to avoid hidden pitfalls. As he walked, he tried to communicate, speaking slowly, showing gestures of peace. "You're safe. I'll get you somewhere safe," he repeated. She tilted her head, watching him with wide eyes. Occasionally, she whispered sounds that were almost like a song. The tones were strange but not hostile. Alex smiled faintly, feeling a connection forming despite their differences. After what felt like hours, they reached a small cavern partially hidden by hanging vines and glowing moss. Alex gently set her down, kneeling beside her to examine her injuries more closely. "I can make a splint for your arm and we can clean your cuts," he said. Using his medical kit, he worked carefully, speaking softly as he did. She watched him silently, then reached out a delicate hand, touching his forearm lightly. It was a small gesture, but Alex understood it as gratitude. "You're welcome," he said, feeling a strange warmth. Once her wounds were tended, Alex looked around the cave. It was small, but it would serve as a temporary shelter. He set up a simple sleeping area using the supplies he carried and found a small water source nearby. He even managed to purify it using his portable filter. She drank slowly, her glowing eyes meeting his. There was something intelligent there, something curious, as if she were studying him as much as he was studying her. "I don't know who you are," Alex admitted, "but I know you need help. I'll stay until you're ready to move." He gave her a reassuring nod. She tilted her head again and in a soft tone repeated a sound that almost sounded like her name. "Lyra," he guessed, pointing at her. She made the sound again, a faint melodic hum that made the cave seem brighter somehow. As night fell, the twin suns dipped below the horizon, casting a gentle purple light over the valley. The air was cool but not uncomfortable. Alex built a small fire using his compact energy module. The soft glow illuminated the cave walls and reflected off Lyra's shimmering skin. She sat quietly, wings folded neatly behind her, watching him work. "You know, I've been on a lot of planets," Alex said softly, "but none of them are quite like this. You're lucky you're alive." She responded with a series of notes, almost like laughter, and then pointed to the sky. He followed her gaze and saw the twin moons rising, their surfaces reflecting faint light onto the valley. It was breathtaking. For the first time, Alex allowed himself to relax. In that moment, the dangers of the war-torn planet felt distant. Here, in the quiet of the cave with this strange, luminous being, he felt the true purpose of his mission, not just to patrol or protect, but to show that kindness and courage mattered. Even in a galaxy filled with conflict, small acts could make a difference. Over the next few hours, Alex tried to communicate with Lyra in small ways. He pointed to objects, mimed actions, and spoke slowly, repeating the same words until she began to mimic them. Her attempts were clumsy at first, but it was clear she was learning quickly. Alex smiled. Humans had a unique way of connecting with others, even across species, and he felt proud that he could use it here. As he watched her, he realized something important. Humans were not always the strongest or the most powerful, but they had qualities that no weapon could match. Empathy, patience, courage, and creativity. These were the tools that could save lives, that could bridge worlds. And he was living proof that even in the darkest valleys, human determination could shine brightly. Before sleep claimed them both, Alex placed a hand gently on the cave wall, tracing the glowing patterns left by the minerals in the stone. "Tomorrow, we'll figure out where you're from," he whispered. Lyra responded with a soft hum, resting her head lightly against his shoulder. It was a simple gesture, but Alex knew it meant trust. The night passed peacefully. Outside, the winds of Zithara whispered through the valley, carrying the sense of alien flora and the faint sounds of distant creatures. Inside, Alex and Lyra rested. One human, one alien, two beings from completely different worlds, yet bound together by chance, courage, and compassion. By dawn, the first rays of Zithara's suns filtered into the cave, painting the walls with soft colors. Alex woke to find Lyra watching him. Her wings shimmered in the sunlight, and her eyes held a quiet intelligence that both fascinated and humbled him. He realized that this was only the beginning. Saving her had been simple in comparison to what lay ahead. He smiled faintly. "Ready for the next step?" he asked. She responded with a soft series of notes, her way of saying yes. And with that, Alex stepped out of the cave, carrying her gently toward the uncertain, yet hopeful future that awaited them. Even without knowing her true identity, he understood something profound. The universe was bigger than any single planet, any single species, and that humans had the ability to shine, not through power alone, but through courage, empathy, and the willingness to help others. And so, the human soldier and the wounded alien woman began a journey that neither of them could yet imagine. A journey that would challenge their understanding of friendship, loyalty, and the incredible potential of humanity. The morning light spilled over the valley, casting a soft glow on the crystalline plants that lined the small path leading out of the cave. Captain Alex Carter adjusted the strap of his pack, careful not to disturb Lyra, who had settled beside him with her wings partially folded. She seemed calm, but Alex knew better than to assume she was entirely at ease. Her kind did not often trust strangers, let alone humans. "Okay," Alex said, breaking the silence. "We need to find food and water today and maybe figure out where you come from." He spoke slowly, aware that she could not yet understand most of his words. Lyra tilted her head, her luminous eyes focused on him. She emitted a soft, melodic hum, a sound that Alex had come to interpret as her way of acknowledging his words. He crouched beside a small stream and filled a canteen, then motioned for her to drink. Lyra stepped forward cautiously, touching the water with her fingers before lowering her head and sipping. Her eyes sparkled, and for the first time, Alex noticed a faint pattern on her skin that seemed almost like a natural design, delicate swirls that shimmered in the sunlight. As she drank, Alex watched her carefully. She was not like any alien species he had seen on his missions. Her intelligence was obvious in the way she observed her surroundings, in the subtle gestures of her body, and in the way she learned from watching him. After their brief pause, Alex decided it was time to explore further. The valley stretched out before them, leading to a series of hills covered in glowing flora. The terrain was rough but navigable. He held out his hand. "Come on." "Stay close." Lyra followed, her wings flaring slightly to balance her steps on uneven ground. As they moved, Alex tried different ways to communicate. He pointed to objects, naming them aloud, and mimicked simple actions like drinking from the stream or stepping over rocks. Lyra watched closely, then began to imitate him. The first time she mimicked his actions successfully, Alex couldn't help but grin. Humans had a gift for connecting with others, and he was learning that even across species, patience and kindness could build understanding. Around midday, they reached a grove filled with alien fruit-bearing plants. The fruit was small, glowing faintly in shades of blue and purple. Alex picked a few, examining them. "I think these are safe," he said aloud, tasting one carefully. Its flavor was sweet, like a mix of berries he remembered from Earth. He offered one to Lyra, who hesitated at first, then accepted it with delicate fingers. She ate slowly, eyes never leaving his face. "That's it," Alex said, smiling. "We'll eat and rest for a bit. We need energy for the next part of the journey." Lyra hummed again, a soft sound that made him feel she was in agreement. During the rest period, Alex observed Lyra closely. She was not merely a creature of beauty, she had an unmistakable intelligence. She studied the plants, touching leaves and vines, occasionally producing sounds that seemed like words. He tried to catch their meaning, but realized she was describing things about the environment in her own language. Alex realized that Lyra was learning from every moment, noting patterns, understanding survival, and adapting quickly. "Humans have a lot of tools," Alex said, breaking the quiet. "We can use our minds, our hands, and our courage to get through difficult situations." He smiled faintly. "Looks like you have the same ability. Clever, huh?" Lyra tilted her head, then touched her forehead lightly, a gesture Alex took as acknowledgement. As they moved again, Alex noticed signs of Zithra's other inhabitants, small, glowing creatures flitting between the trees, leaving trails of sparkling dust. None of them seemed aggressive, but Alex remained alert. He noticed that Lyra seemed to understand the creatures instinctively, moving in a way that avoided startling them. He realized that she had knowledge of this planet that he could never have without careful study. By evening, they reached the edge of a cliff overlooking a valley that stretched far beyond what Alex could see. The view was breathtaking: towering crystalline mountains, rivers that glittered in the light, and distant clusters of what looked like abandoned settlements. Lyra stepped forward, wings spreading gracefully. She let out a long, soft hum, her eyes scanning the horizon. Alex watched, fascinated. There was a confidence in her posture now, a quiet strength he had not noticed when he first found her. Despite her injuries, she seemed aware of her surroundings in a way that suggested experience and authority. Alex crouched beside her. "You know, I've seen a lot of planets, but I've never met anyone like you," he said. Lyra responded with a soft trill, leaning slightly closer to him. It was clear she was trying to communicate something, but he had no way to understand fully. Still, he smiled. Connection was happening, even without words. That night, they camped near a small pool fed by a hidden waterfall. Alex used his portable module to generate a soft light, illuminating the area without disturbing the wildlife. He prepared a simple meal from the fruit and edible plants they had collected. Lyra watched carefully, then imitated him, attempting to combine fruits and leaves in her own way. Alex chuckled. "Not bad," he said. "You might be a fast learner after all." As they ate, Alex reflected on the unusual situation. He had trained for combat, for strategy, for survival in extreme conditions, but nothing had prepared him for this. He had saved a life, yes, but in doing so, he had discovered a new kind of challenge, bridging the gap between species, building trust where none had existed before. After the meal, Alex leaned back against a rock, watching Lyra as she examined the water pool. Her reflection shimmered in the surface, and he noticed patterns on her skin glowing faintly in response to the water. It was mesmerizing. She looked up at him, her eyes large and curious. "You're stronger than you look," he said softly. "Not just with your body, but with your mind. That's what matters most out here." She hummed again, a sound that made the cave feel warm despite the cool evening air. Alex realized something important. Humans were not defined by strength alone. Intelligence, creativity, empathy, and courage were what allowed them to survive and to help others survive. Lyra, in her own way, had the same qualities, and he felt a quiet pride in their shared determination. Over the next few days, Alex and Lyra traveled together through the valley, learning from each other. He taught her basic human gestures, like pointing to indicate direction or using symbols to convey meaning. She, in turn, revealed small details about the environment, which plants were safe to eat, where fresh water could be found, and how to move without disturbing the local wildlife. One afternoon, as they crossed a shallow stream, Lyra suddenly stopped and looked toward a distant ridge. Her wings twitched, and she emitted a long, melodic trill. Alex followed her gaze and saw movement, a group of creatures, larger than the ones they had seen before, cautiously observing them from the shadows. Alex raised a hand in a peaceful gesture, then turned to Lyra. "Don't worry," he said quietly. "Stay calm. Let's show them we mean no harm." Lyra nodded, imitating his gesture. Slowly, they advanced, demonstrating non-threatening behavior. The creatures studied them for a few tense moments, then relaxed, moving away peacefully. Alex smiled. "See, patience and calm can solve a lot of problems." Lyra responded with a series of soft hums, clearly impressed. That evening, as they set up camp, Alex noticed a change in Lyra. She was no longer simply observing. She was learning actively, anticipating his movements, and even trying small tasks on her own. He realized she was not just intelligent. She was strategic, thoughtful, and aware in ways that went far beyond instinct. "You're amazing, you know that?" he said. "I've met a lot of beings in my life, but you're something else entirely." Lyra responded with a series of notes that sounded almost like laughter. Alex laughed softly, too. For the first time since arriving on Zythera, he felt a real sense of companionship, not just between two individuals, but between two species. As night fell and the twin moons rose in the sky, casting their soft light across the valley, Alex reflected on how far they had come. What had started as a simple rescue mission had become an extraordinary journey. He had saved a life, yes, but in doing so, he had discovered something even more valuable: the ability of humans to connect, to learn, and to inspire trust in beings unlike themselves. Lyra leaned against him, her wings folding neatly behind her. She hummed softly, a comforting sound that filled the quiet night. Alex smiled, feeling a warmth in his chest. This partnership, unlikely though it might be, was something he would cherish. Together, they had survived the first challenges of the alien world. Together, they were beginning to understand each other in ways that transcended words. And Alex knew, deep down, that this was only the beginning. The universe was vast, full of mysteries and dangers, but also full of wonder. And somewhere along the journey, the human soldier and the alien woman had found something extraordinary: trust, friendship, and the first spark of hope that two very different beings could face the unknown, together. The next morning, the valley was bathed in a soft lavender glow, the result of Zythera's twin suns rising almost together. Captain Alex Carter stirred from his makeshift bedding, careful not to wake Lyra. But as he stretched, he noticed she was already awake, standing at the edge of their small camp. Her wings were fully extended now, catching the sunlight and casting tiny rainbow-like patterns on the ground. Alex smiled at her. "Good morning." "Ready for another day?" Lyra turned her head toward him and hummed softly, a melodic sound that made him feel she understood his words. They set off, moving cautiously through the alien terrain. Today, Alex decided, they would explore a nearby set of ruins he had spotted from the cliff 2 days earlier. The ruins seemed ancient buildings of crystalline structures, now partially crumbled, with faint glowing inscriptions along their walls. The place had a strange quietness, as if it had been abandoned for centuries. "Careful here," Alex warned. "The ground could be unstable." Lyra nodded, walking gracefully alongside him. Her attention was drawn to the inscriptions on the walls. She ran her fingers lightly over them, emitting a series of soft notes that sounded like a song. Alex watched her closely. She seemed more than fascinated. She reacted emotionally, as if the symbols had a deep meaning. He paused near one of the larger ruins, examining a mural that depicted beings much like Lyra, tall, elegant, and adorned in intricate patterns. Some of them held staffs or devices, while others were surrounded by groups of smaller beings, all engaged in what seemed to be discussion or study. Alex squinted, trying to interpret what the mural could represent. Lyra stepped forward, her glowing eyes scanning the mural. Suddenly, her wings shivered and she let out a long, musical trill. Alex noticed that she was pointing at certain figures in the painting, then at herself, then at him. "You know these?" he asked cautiously. She hummed again, a pattern of notes that rose and fell like a question. Alex frowned, suddenly realizing that these were not just decorations, they were historical records. Somehow she recognized them. Somehow she belonged to this place. The thought struck him with force. Lyra was not an ordinary citizen. She was important, very important. But why was she wandering alone and wounded? And why had she not revealed this before? Alex shook his head to clear the sudden worry. "We'll figure it out," he said aloud, even though he didn't fully know how. Lyra tilted her head, sensing his concern, and moved closer to him. She brushed a hand lightly against his arm, a gesture of trust. As they explored deeper into the ruins, they discovered a small chamber filled with what looked like storage devices, crystalline in structure but clearly technological. Alex knelt beside them, examining the patterns of light that pulsed within. Looks like some kind of data storage, but I don't know what they hold. He tapped one gently. Nothing happened. Lyra touched it, and a soft glow spread across the chamber. Symbols appeared in the air, shimmering like holograms. Alex gasped. "You're doing something." "Are you activating it?" Lyra nodded slightly, then looked at him with her large, intelligent eyes. He realized that she had knowledge far beyond what he had expected. She knew how to use the technology of her own civilization instinctively. The chamber projected images of landscapes, of cities filled with glowing towers, and of people who looked exactly like the figures in the murals. Alex's eyes widened. This is your home?" he asked. Lyra hummed softly, almost like a yes. He studied the images carefully. The city was grand, majestic, and filled with beings that seemed like royalty and scholars. And then a particular image caught his attention. A tall figure adorned in elaborate garments, standing in front of a crowd, exuding authority. Lyra froze, her wings trembling slightly. Alex took a cautious step forward. "Lyra, is this you?" She tilted her head, then slowly placed her hand over her chest. Her wings quivered, and she hummed a series of notes that were almost reverent. Alex's heart skipped a beat. He realized the truth. Lyra was not just any alien, she was a leader, perhaps the leader. "Queen," he whispered, testing the word. Lyra's eyes widened, then softened. She bowed her head slightly, acknowledging the title without fear or pride, simply recognition. Alex felt a mix of awe and responsibility. He had saved her life without realizing that he had been carrying the most important person on the planet. The revelation weighed heavily on him, but there was no time for hesitation. They needed to find out what had happened to her city, why she had been wounded, and whether the factions still threatened her safety. Alex looked at her, determination in his eyes. "We'll get through this." Together, Lyra responded with a soft hum, a promise that she trusted him despite the danger ahead. They left the chamber carefully, making their way through corridors that twisted and turned. As they moved, Alex noticed signs of recent activity, footprints in the soft crystalline dust, broken vines, and traces of energy pulses. "Someone's been here recently," he whispered. Lyra looked alarmed, her wings rising slightly, but she did not panic. She seemed to understand the potential danger, yet trusted Alex's judgment. They emerged into an open courtyard where the sun's light filtered through cracks in the walls. Small creatures scurried across the ground, startled by their presence. Alex noticed that Lyra could control her movements with careful precision, avoiding the creatures entirely. "You know this place," he said. "You know it well." She hummed softly, almost like a nod. Alex realized that her knowledge could be key. If she could guide him, they could avoid dangers and perhaps find a safe route to her city. He also realized that humans, despite being far weaker in physical strength compared to Zitharans, had an advantage in ingenuity. Using strategy, observation, and calm decision-making, he could help her reclaim safety without confrontation. As the day wore on, they continued through the ruins, uncovering more clues about her civilization. Ancient murals told stories of leadership, of diplomacy, and of unity among the people. Lyra would pause at certain murals, touching specific figures with her fingers. Alex noticed that she seemed to be studying tactics and strategies, as if learning from history itself. "This is incredible," Alex said softly. "Your people, you've done amazing things here." Lyra responded with a long trill, almost like a song of pride and remembrance. He felt honored to witness this, realizing that humans could learn from other civilizations while also offering something in return: courage, empathy, and the willingness to act selflessly. They decided to rest for the night in a small hall that had remained largely intact. Alex set up their camp, creating a safe corner with his portable gear. Lyra examined his setup with interest, mimicking his arrangement of supplies and water. Alex smiled. "See, teamwork." She hummed again, this time more warmly, acknowledging the growing bond between them. During the quiet hours, Alex observed her in the soft glow of the chamber. Her wings shimmered, reflecting the light like stained glass. Her eyes were wide and thoughtful, occasionally scanning the walls as if absorbing every detail. He realized that she was more than just a leader. She was also a scholar, a protector, and a being of incredible intelligence. "You've been through a lot," Alex said quietly, almost to himself. "And you've survived, even alone." Lyra responded with a gentle trill, leaning slightly toward him. He felt a sense of connection that transcended species, a bond built on trust and mutual respect. That night, as the twin moons rose in the sky, casting pale light across the ruins, Alex reflected on the journey so far. He had begun this mission thinking it was just about rescue. But in saving Lyra, he had discovered something far greater: the ability of humans to bridge worlds through courage, empathy, and wisdom. Even when outmatched physically, humans could inspire trust and make a difference. Lyra rested beside him, wings folded neatly, humming softly as if to soothe both herself and him. Alex knew that the days ahead would be challenging. There were questions to answer, dangers to face, and mysteries of Zithra to uncover. But he also knew one truth: together they could face anything. And deep down, Alex realized something even more extraordinary. By saving Lyra, he had unknowingly become part of a story that would change Zithra forever, and that humans, with their unique qualities, had the power to leave a lasting mark on even the most advanced civilizations. The dawn of the next day promised discovery, challenges, and the slow unraveling of Lyra's past. But for now, in the quiet of the ancient ruins, a human soldier and an alien queen rested side by side, bound by trust, courage, and the first spark of a partnership that could change two worlds. The first light of Zithra's twin suns poured into the ruins, painting the broken walls with shades of gold and lavender. Captain Alex Carter stirred from his rest, stretching and glancing at Lyra. She was awake, standing near the edge of the hall, her wings partially unfurled. Her eyes reflected the light, shimmering like liquid crystal. Alex noticed that she seemed thoughtful, almost serious, as if considering the day ahead. "Ready?" he asked gently. Lyra hummed in response, a sound that had become her way of affirming him. Today, Alex knew, they would move toward her city, the place that had been home to her people, the place that held answers to questions he hadn't yet dared to ask. They left the ruins carefully, moving along a narrow path that wound through crystalline cliffs. Lyra led the way, her steps precise and confident, as if she remembered every twist and turn. Alex followed, trusting her guidance while keeping a careful eye on the surroundings. Despite the calm beauty of Zithra, he knew the planet was unpredictable. One misstep could mean falling into hidden fissures or disturbing creatures they didn't yet understand. As they descended toward the city, the landscape began to change. The broken remnants of smaller settlements gave way to structures still intact, buildings of shimmering crystal, glowing softly in the morning light. The streets were empty, eerily quiet, but the signs of life were there: carefully arranged gardens, pathways lined with glowing stones, and intricate patterns etched into walls and floors. Alex glanced at Lyra. "This is incredible," he said. "It's beautiful," she nodded, her wings fluttering slightly. There was a solemnity to her movements, a quiet dignity that made Alex realize how important this place, and she truly was. Finally, they arrived at a grand gate, tall and gleaming, guarded by automated sentries that appeared dormant but still radiated faint energy. Lyra stepped forward confidently, placing her hands on the gate. The energy pulses shifted, and the massive doors began to open slowly. Alex followed her inside, his eyes wide with awe. The city within was magnificent. Towering spires rose into the sky, connected by bridges of light. Gardens and water features filled the spaces between buildings, their colors vivid and alive. Alex could feel the history and care embedded in every detail. And yet, despite the beauty, there was a tension in the air. Something had happened here, something that had forced this city to stand silent while its queen wandered alone in the valley. Lyra led him through the streets, her movements graceful and precise. Alex noticed that citizens, alien beings like her but smaller in stature, peeked from behind walls and windows. Their eyes widened at the sight of Lyra, but they did not approach. There was a mixture of fear, respect, and curiosity in their gazes. Finally, they reached a central plaza dominated by a magnificent palace. Its crystal towers shimmered in the sunlight, reflecting every color of the surrounding city. Alex could see that it was not only a place of beauty but also of power. Lyra paused at the steps leading to the palace, her wings folding neatly behind her. She turned to Alex, her eyes meeting his. Alex began, but words failed him. He wanted to ask so many things about her, her city, her people, but he didn't want to startle her. Instead, he simply nodded, offering reassurance. Lyra took a deep breath, then stepped forward. As she entered the palace, the doors opened to reveal a vast hall filled with rows of figures, guardians, advisors, and citizens who had been waiting. The moment she appeared, a low murmur spread through the crowd. They bowed deeply, their eyes filled with relief and reverence. Alex watched, astonished. This was no ordinary alien. This was royalty, and these beings had been waiting for their queen's return. Lyra moved with a quiet confidence, acknowledging their respect without arrogance. Her voice when she spoke was clear and commanding, even though Alex could not yet understand the language. The tone was enough. It conveyed authority, wisdom, and reassurance. One of the figures, an older alien with wings slightly shorter than Lyra's, stepped forward. He bowed deeply. Lyra nodded, then gestured toward Alex. The elder's eyes widened in surprise. He stepped closer, speaking quickly in their language. Lyra responded with calm, melodic notes. Alex could sense that she was explaining something, that she was introducing him not as a stranger but as someone who had helped her. The elder turned to Alex, speaking slowly in broken galactic common, a language Alex understood. "You saved the queen," he said, astonishment clear in his voice. "You protected her." Alex nodded, feeling a mix of pride and humility. "I didn't know she was the queen," he admitted. "I just saw someone in need and helped." The elder studied him carefully, then smiled. "Then your heart is true. The queen is alive because of you." His words carried weight, and Alex felt a deep sense of responsibility. Saving Lyra had been only the beginning. Now he was part of something far greater than himself. Lyra led Alex deeper into the palace. They passed halls filled with tapestries depicting her people's history, moments of peace, innovation, and leadership. She paused occasionally, touching certain images, humming softly. Alex realized she was not just the queen, but also a student of her own civilization's past. She carried both the authority of a ruler and the wisdom of a scholar. Finally, they reached a chamber that seemed to serve as her private quarters. The space was simple yet elegant, filled with soft light and subtle decorations. Lyra turned to Alex, her eyes glowing with a gentle intensity. She placed her hand lightly on his shoulder, a gesture of trust and gratitude. "You saved me," she said softly, in galactic common, her voice melodic and clear. "I owe you more than words can express." Alex felt a lump in his throat. "I didn't do it for thanks," he said. "I did it because someone needed help. That's what humans do." Lyra smiled faintly, her wings fluttering slightly. "Then you are extraordinary." Her words struck him, not because of praise, but because they carried sincerity and understanding. In that moment, Alex realized something profound. Humans had a unique ability to connect with others, to act with courage and empathy in ways that transcended species. The conversation was interrupted by the arrival of her advisors. They bowed deeply to Lyra, then to Alex. Lyra gestured for them to rise, and one of the advisors spoke. "The city, the people, they feared what might happen. The council tried to protect the citizens, but the factions outside have caused chaos. Only your return, your safety, allows us to plan again." Alex listened carefully. "Factions? What do you mean?" Lyra explained in a mixture of words and melodic hums. Alex understood that there had been a struggle for power while she was away. Her enemies had sought to destabilize the city, and her disappearance had left the citizens uncertain and afraid. But now, with her presence restored, there was hope for order and peace. As the day wore on, Alex and Lyra walked through the palace gardens. Exotic plants, glowing softly in the afternoon light, surrounded them. Lyra stopped at a fountain, her reflection mirrored in the water. She hummed softly, almost to herself. Alex observed quietly, sensing that she was processing the events of her past, her recent danger, and the return to her role as queen. "You're ready," he said gently. "You've survived, you've returned, you can help them now." Lyra turned to him, eyes wide with emotion. "I could not have done it without you," she said. "You remind me that courage comes in many forms, not just strength, but also heart and determination." Alex smiled faintly. "We make a good team," he said. She hummed softly, a musical sound that Alex had come to recognize as her agreement. That evening, a council meeting was held in the Grand Hall. Lyra addressed her people with calm authority, explaining that their queen had survived and that they would work together to restore peace. She spoke of trust, unity, and the importance of collaboration. Alex observed quietly from her side, realizing that her leadership was remarkable, not just because of her position, but because of her wisdom and fairness. When the meeting ended, the citizens filed out, leaving the hall in calm silence. Lyra turned to Alex. "You've given me more than safety," she said. "You've reminded me that hope is powerful and hope can change everything." Alex nodded. "Humans, we can do a lot with courage and care, but it's not just humans. You, your people, can do even more together." Lyra smiled. "Then together, we will make a difference." Her wings shimmered softly in the evening light, reflecting colors that seemed to represent the promise of a new beginning. For the first time since Alex had met her, he felt that the journey ahead, though uncertain, was filled with hope. He had saved a life, yes, but more importantly, he had helped restore a leader to her people. And in doing so, he realized that humans had qualities that could inspire entire civilizations: courage, empathy, and the willingness to act selflessly. As they looked out over the city, Alex understood that this was only the beginning. Together, human and queen, they could face challenges, solve problems, and build bridges between worlds. And somewhere in the quiet of the palace gardens, with the twin moons rising and casting soft light across the city, a bond had formed that would endure, one that could change Zithra and perhaps the galaxy forever. The morning sun bathed Zithra's city in golden light, casting long shadows across the gleaming crystal towers. Captain Alex Carter stood beside Lyra at the palace balcony, overlooking the bustling streets below. Citizens moved about, cautiously at first, but with growing confidence. The city, once silent and tense, was slowly coming alive again. Alex glanced at Lyra, whose wings were folded neatly behind her. Her eyes, bright and reflective, scanned the city with a mix of determination and care. "You've come a long way," he said softly. "The people, they look to you now. Everything depends on your leadership." Lyra turned to him, a soft hum escaping her lips. "And you," she said in galactic common, "have given me courage that goes beyond strength. Humans, you see things differently, and it has reminded me what hope feels like." Alex felt warmth in his chest. He had trained for combat, for survival, for strategy, but nothing in his experience had prepared him for this moment. Helping an entire civilization rebuild not with weapons, but with trust, cooperation, and careful planning. Their first task was to meet with the city's council. The advisors had gathered, their expressions a mix of respect, curiosity, and relief. The elder who had first spoken to Alex stepped forward. "The factions outside the city still linger," he said. "They are cautious, uncertain, but with the Queen returned, there is an opportunity for peace." Lyra nodded. "We will not fight them," she said firmly. "We will show them that cooperation is stronger than conflict." Alex's heart lifted at her words. Here was a queen who valued strategy, intelligence, and diplomacy over force, qualities he had come to respect deeply. Alex, as a human, had little experience with politics on an alien world, but he understood one principle: empathy and clever planning often achieved what brute strength could not. He shared ideas with Lyra and her advisors, ways to use communication, observation, and clever strategies to build alliances rather than continue hostilities. "Humans," he explained, "have a saying: the greatest victories are those won without violence. We use understanding, patience, and clever thinking to solve problems. Sometimes that works better than fighting." The council listened carefully, and Lyra translated his ideas into her people's language. Slowly, a plan formed. They would send envoys to the surrounding factions, offering collaboration and shared resources. The Queen's presence, combined with Alex's ideas, gave the citizens hope that peace could be achieved. Over the next few days, Alex accompanied Lyra as they walked through the city, visiting neighborhoods, gardens, and marketplaces. Citizens watched them closely, whispering among themselves. Alex noticed something remarkable. Even though he was human, they looked at him with respect. Not because of strength, but because he had acted selflessly to save their queen. Humanity's qualities, compassion, courage, and ingenuity were visible to everyone. One afternoon, as they walked through a restored garden filled with glowing flowers, a small child approached Alex. The boy's eyes were wide with curiosity and wonder. "You saved her?" he asked in galactic common, his voice trembling with awe. Alex knelt to meet him at eye level. "Yes," he said gently. "She was hurt and I helped her. Everyone can do something good if they try." The child's eyes brightened. "Can we help too?" Alex smiled. Of course, even small actions matter. That's how cities and worlds grow strong, one kind act at a time. Lyra watched the exchange quietly. She reached out and placed a gentle hand on Alex's shoulder. Her wings shimmered softly. You have reminded my people that courage is not only in leaders, it is in everyone. Meanwhile, emissaries from the surrounding factions began arriving at the city gates. Lyra, with Alex by her side, welcomed them. Instead of suspicion and tension, the visitors saw a calm, confident queen and a human who had risked everything to help her. The atmosphere shifted immediately. Discussions began not with threats, but with questions and ideas for collaboration. Alex observed closely, noting how his human perspective helped in subtle ways. He suggested ways to organize dialogues, encouraged Lyra to listen carefully to each faction, and proposed fair compromises that would benefit everyone. His ideas, though simple, bridged gaps between worlds, showing that humans could contribute wisdom and creativity beyond what their size or strength might suggest. As the meetings progressed, it became clear that peace was possible. Slowly, factions agreed to share resources, to open trade, and to respect each other's territories. Lyra's leadership, combined with Alex's insights, had created something remarkable: trust. One evening, after a long day of discussions, Alex and Lyra walked along a balcony overlooking the city. The twin moons rose in the sky, casting pale silver light across the rooftops. The streets were alive with laughter, music, and the gentle hum of Zitharan technology. "You've done it," Alex said softly. "You've restored hope. The city, it's alive again." Lyra smiled faintly. "We have done it together," she said. "You reminded me of what it means to act with courage and care. Humans, you are extraordinary." Alex shook his head, laughing softly. "I'm just one person, but humans, we can do a lot when we work with others, and I've learned that even the smallest acts of kindness can change everything." Lyra's eyes reflected the light of the moons. "Then let us ensure that Zithara's future is built on kindness, intelligence, and courage, qualities that are stronger than any weapon." Over the next weeks, the city continued to flourish. Gardens bloomed, marketplaces filled with laughter and conversation, and citizens took pride in rebuilding their world. Alex worked alongside Lyra, helping with small tasks, advising on strategies, and sharing stories from Earth and human experiences. The people admired him, not just for saving their queen, but for showing that courage, empathy, and wisdom could come from unexpected places. Lyra, too, grew stronger as a leader. She listened to her people, learned from their experiences, and incorporated Alex's ideas in ways that were respectful of her culture. Together, they demonstrated that collaboration between different beings, human and Zitharan, could create a new model of leadership and community. One afternoon, Alex and Lyra stood atop the highest tower in the city, overlooking the bustling capital. Citizens moved below like tiny points of light, working together to maintain the city's beauty and functionality. Alex felt a sense of peace unlike anything he had experienced in his military missions. Here, in a distant world, humans and aliens had found common ground. They had built unity not through force, but through understanding. "You've changed this place," Alex said quietly. "And you've changed me too." Lyra turned to him, her wings glowing softly in the sunlight. "And you have reminded me that courage, hope, and kindness are universal. They are not limited by species or size. They are the qualities that make leaders and citizens alike strong." As they watched the city together, a gentle breeze passed through the tower, carrying the scent of flowering plants and the distant sound of laughter. It was a reminder that life, even after danger and uncertainty, could thrive when people worked together and respected each other. Alex thought about his journey, from the moment he had found Lyra wounded in the valley to this point, standing beside her as the city flourished. It had been more than a rescue mission. It had been a lesson in empathy, strategy, and the quiet strength of human character. Lyra leaned closer, her wings brushing lightly against him. "There is still work to do," she said. "The galaxy is vast, and there are more challenges ahead. But today, we have shown that humans and Zitharans together can achieve great things." Alex nodded. "And wherever the future takes us, we'll face it together. Humans may be small compared to your world, but our courage and care, they are limitless." As night fell, the city glowed softly under the twin moons. Citizens celebrated in quiet ways, tending to gardens, repairing structures, and sharing stories of hope and unity. Lyra and Alex watched from the palace balcony, feeling the weight of responsibility but also the joy of accomplishment. For the first time, Alex understood what humans truly could achieve, not through weapons or power, but through courage, intelligence, and kindness. And he realized that his actions had left a mark far beyond his own understanding. He had saved a queen, yes, but he had also inspired a civilization to see the strength of compassion and wisdom. Lyra turned to him one last time that night. "You have changed Zithara, Captain Alex Carter, and you have changed the future." Alex smiled faintly. "We have done it together, that's what makes it real." And in the quiet glow of the palace, with the twin moons reflecting on crystal towers, a human soldier and an alien queen stood side by side, witnessing the birth of a new era, a time of unity, hope, and cooperation that would be remembered for generations. The story of their journey from rescue to partnership, from fear to trust, was a testament to one universal truth. Humanity, with courage, empathy, and wisdom, could inspire hope across any world, even in the most distant corners of the galaxy. And so, the human soldier and the alien queen looked to the future, knowing that together, anything was possible.